Gina's
I
hands
need
shook as
help.
she
I am
typed the
having my
message into
baby
her phone,
alone.
snow soaking through her coat as another contraction ripped through her body. Please, I need somewhere safe. I am having a baby. Alone. She hit send, not knowing that she'd just reached the most dangerous man in Seoul, the Korean Mafia boss who runs a criminal empire. But there was one problem. Her half-brother Marcus was a detective who'd been hunting this man for months, and he just tracked her last phone call. Before we dive into what happens next, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't believe how this story unfolds, and trust me, you don't want to miss the moment when these three collide. A fist slammed against the mahogany dinner table, making the fine china rattle. Gina Williams flinched, her hand instinctively moving to protect her swollen belly. The baby kicked hard, as if sensing the danger in the room. Get out. Mrs. Park's voice cut through the warm Christmas air like a knife through silk. Get out of my house right now. Gina's eyes darted to Tae-sung, the father of her child, sitting frozen at the head of the table. His face was pale, his mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air, but no words came out. No defense. No protection. Nothing. Please, Gina said in Korean, her voice shaking but steady. It's Christmas Eve. It's snowing outside. I'm 8 months pregnant with your grandchild. Don't you dare call that child our grandchild. Mr. Park stood up, his face red with rage. You think we don't know what you are? What your mother was? We told Tae-sung from the beginning that marrying outside our race would bring shame to this family. But you? You're not even married. You're just some black girl who trapped our son with a pregnancy. The words hit Gina like physical blows. She'd heard them before, whispered behind her back at family gatherings, hidden behind tight smiles and cold politeness. But never like this. Never so raw, so hateful, so final. Tae-sung, she whispered, turning to him one last time. Say something. Please. He looked at her, and for a moment, she thought she saw regret in his eyes. But then he looked away and she knew. She'd always known, deep down. He would choose them. He would always choose them. Your mother's blood made you irresponsible, Mrs. Park continued, her voice dripping with venom. Look at you. Unmarried, pregnant, no proper job. You've shamed our pure family line with your existence. That baby will be tainted with your disgrace. Something inside Gina broke. Not her spirit, that had been breaking slowly for months. But her hope. Her last desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, they would see her as human. As family. As worthy of love. She stood up slowly, her body heavy with pregnancy and grief. I understand, she said quietly in perfect Korean, watching their faces twist with surprise that she could speak their language so fluently. I understand that to you, I will never be Korean enough. My father taught me the language, the culture, the customs. But my black mother's blood makes me impure in your eyes. I understand now. She grabbed her coat from the chair, her movements deliberate and calm even as her heart shattered into a million pieces. But this baby, she said, her hand on her belly, this baby is innocent. And one day, when she asks me about her father's family, I'll tell her the truth. That they valued racial purity more than love. That they chose pride over family. That they threw us out into the snow on Christmas Eve because we weren't worthy of their name. How dare you, Mr. Park started, but Gina was already walking toward the door. Gina, wait, Tae-sung finally found his voice, but it was too late. Too late by months, by years, by a lifetime of choosing silence over courage. She didn't look back. The door closed behind her with a soft click that sounded like the end of everything. Before we dive into this incredible story of unexpected connections and Christmas miracles, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our heartwarming stories. If you're someone who believes in second chances and the power of kindness from strangers, you're going to love what happens next. Now, let's get into the story. The cold hit her like a wall. Snow was falling heavily now, blanketing the upscale Seoul neighborhood in white. Gina pulled her coat tighter, but it wouldn't zip over her pregnant belly. Her breath came out in white puffs as she walked down the perfectly manicured driveway, her shoes crunching in the fresh snow. Where would she go? Her Korean father, Prosecutor Han, had made it clear years ago that her existence was an embarrassment to his political career. He'd abandoned her and her Black American mother when Jina was 10, choosing his ambitions over his mixed-race daughter. She hadn't spoken to him in 15 years. Her half-brother Marcus was in America, working as a detective in Los Angeles. They'd never been close. Different mothers, different lives, connected only by a father who'd failed them both. She had friends, but it was Christmas Eve. Everyone was with family. Everyone belonged somewhere. Everyone except her. A contraction hit without warning, stealing her breath. Jina grabbed onto a lamppost, gasping. No, not yet. Not now. She wasn't due for another 3 weeks. The contraction passed, leaving her shaking. She pulled out her phone with trembling fingers, scrolling through her contacts desperately. There had to be someone. Anyone. She found the number for a women's shelter she'd saved months ago, just in case. Her finger hovered over the call button, but another contraction seized her body, harder this time, and her thumb slipped, hitting the message button instead. Please, she typed frantically, tears freezing on her cheeks. I need somewhere safe. Having a baby. Alone. She hit send before she could think, before she could check the number, before she could do anything but pray that someone, anyone, would help her. The 3 dots appeared almost immediately. Someone was typing. Where are you? Gina's heart leaped. She looked around frantically, trying to remember the name of the street. Her fingers flew across the screen, sending her location. Another contraction hit, stronger than before, and she cried out, dropping to her knees in the snow. Her phone buzzed. Stay there. Car coming. 5 minutes. Who is this? The shelter? A volunteer? She didn't care. She couldn't care. The baby was coming, and she was alone, and someone had answered. That was enough. The 5 minutes felt like hours. Jina knelt in the snow, her body racked with contractions, her mind spinning with fear and pain and disbelief. How had her life become this? How had she gone from dreaming of a family to being thrown away like garbage? Headlights cut through the snow. A sleek black Mercedes pulled up beside her, and a man in an expensive suit jumped out. Not a social worker. Definitely not a shelter volunteer. Miss Williams, he said in Korean, his face all business. I'm Chin. Mr. Kang sent me. Can you walk? Who? Jina gasped, but another contraction answered for her. She couldn't walk. She could barely breathe. Chin didn't hesitate. He scooped her up like she weighed nothing, despite her pregnant belly, and carried her to the car. The interior was warm, leather seats soft beneath her. The door closed, muffling the sound of the storm outside. Where are you taking me? Jina managed to ask between contractions. Somewhere safe, Chin said, pulling into traffic. Mr. Kang's private medical facility. We'll have you there in 10 minutes. I don't know any Mr. Kang, Jina said, confusion cutting through the pain. I texted a shelter. You texted Mr. Kang, Chin said, his voice neutral. Wrong number. But he doesn't ignore people in need. Wrong number. She texted a wrong number. But who is this Mr. Kang? And why would a stranger with a private medical facility and a driver in a Mercedes help a pregnant woman he'd never met? The questions faded as another contraction hit, stronger than all the others. The baby was coming. Ready or not, wanted or not, her daughter was coming into this world. The facility looked nothing like a hospital. It was a modern building tucked away in an expensive neighborhood, unmarked and discreet. Jin carried her through a private entrance, past security that nodded at him without question, into an elevator that required a key card to operate. What is this place? Jina asked, alarm bells ringing in her mind even through the pain. Mr. Kang's private clinic, Chin said. Don't worry. The doctors are excellent. You're safe here. The elevator opened into what looked more like a luxury hotel suite than a medical facility. Soft lighting, expensive furniture, and yes, medical equipment, but all of it top of the line and discreet. A doctor and 2 nurses were already waiting, pulling on gloves, preparing equipment. And standing by the window, looking out at the falling snow, was a man in an impeccably tailored black suit. He turned as they entered, and Jina's breath caught. He was beautiful in a dangerous way. Sharp features, dark eyes that seemed to see everything, an aura of controlled power that made the air around him feel electric. He couldn't have been more than 32, but he carried himself like someone who'd lived 1,000 lives. "Miss Williams," he said in Korean, his voice smooth and calm. "I'm Kang Min-Jun. You texted me by mistake, but I'm glad you did. Let's make sure you and your baby are safe." "Why are you helping me?" Jina asked, even as the nurses helped her onto the bed. "You don't know me." Something flickered in Min-Jun's eyes. Pain. Old pain, buried deep. "Let's just say I know what it's like when family fails you," he said quietly. "And I won't let another woman go through what my sister did." Before Jina could ask what he meant, another contraction seized her, and the doctor was there, checking her, and everything became a blur of pain and fear and strangers' hands trying to help. "You're 8 centimeters dilated," the doctor said calmly. "The baby's coming fast. We need to prep for delivery now." "I can't," Jina gasped. "I'm not ready. I don't have anything ready." "You have us," Min-Jun said, and somehow his presence was steadying. He pulled up a chair beside her bed, his expensive suit completely out of place in the medical setting, but his eyes were kind. "You're not alone. You don't understand," Jina said through tears. "You're a stranger. I don't even know who you are. This is insane. I should be with family, with Taesung, with people who threw you out in the snow?" Min-Jun's voice was gentle but firm. "Family isn't always blood, Miss Williams. Sometimes family is whoever shows up when everyone else walks away." The words hit her harder than the contractions. She looked at this stranger who'd sent a car for her, who'd brought her to safety, who was sitting beside her bed on Christmas Eve like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Who are you really?" she whispered. "Right now?" Min-Jun said, and for the first time, he smiled. It transformed his face, making him look younger, almost vulnerable. "Right now, I'm the person who's going to help you bring your daughter into the world." Over the next hour, as the contractions intensified and the pain became unbearable, Min-Jun stayed. He held her hand when she needed something to squeeze. He spoke to her in Korean and English, distracting her with questions about her life, her dreams, anything to keep her mind off the pain. "My sister was pregnant," he said during a brief lull, his voice quiet. "She fell in love with a Black American soldier stationed in Seoul. My family was traditional. When they found out she was pregnant, they disowned her. Called her baby an abomination. Said she'd polluted our pure bloodline." Jina looked at him, seeing the pain etched in every line of his face. "I was young," Min-Jun continued. "Stupid. I didn't stand up for her. I let them throw her out, just like your in-laws threw you out tonight. She died in childbirth. Alone. No one there to hold her hand or tell her she was brave or that her baby was wanted." "I'm sorry," Jina whispered. "I swore that night," Min-Jun said, his hand tightening on hers, "that I would never let another woman go through what she did. That if I ever had the chance to make it right, I would. When I got your text tonight, it was like she was giving me that chance." "Your family," Jina said, another contraction building. "They sound like mine." "They're dead," Min-Jun said flatly. "Car accident 5 years ago. I inherited everything. The business, the money, the legacy they cared about more than their own daughter. Ironic, isn't it?" Before Jina could respond, the doctor was back, checking her progress, and then everything happened at once. "She's crowning," the doctor said. "Miss Williams, on the next contraction, you need to push." Terror flooded through Jina. This was real. This was happening. She was about to become a mother alone with strangers in a place she didn't understand. "I can't do this," she gasped. "Yes, you can," Min-Jun said firmly. "You're the strongest person I've met, Jina. You survived being rejected by everyone who should have loved you. You survived being thrown out in the snow while pregnant. You can survive this. The contraction hit, and Jina pushed. She pushed with all the strength she had left, with all the anger at Taesung's silence, with all the pain from years of never being enough, never being Korean enough or black enough or worthy enough. Again, the doctor said. One more big push. Jina screamed, pushing with everything she had, and suddenly the pain reached a crescendo and then a baby's cry filled the room. It's a girl, the doctor said, and Jina heard the smile in her voice. A beautiful, healthy girl. They placed the baby on Jina's chest, and the world stopped. Everything she'd been through, all the pain, all the rejection, all the fear, none of it mattered. This tiny human, with her perfect fingers and her angry cry and her beautiful brown skin, was worth everything. Hi, baby girl, Jina whispered, tears streaming down her face. I'm your mama. I've got you. I promise I've got you. The baby's eyes opened, dark and unfocused, and Jina felt her heart crack open with a love so fierce it hurt. What will you name her? Min-Jun asked softly. Jina looked at him, this stranger who'd become her unlikely savior. Min-hee, she said. It means brightness and joy in Korean. After you. After someone who showed me that kindness exists in unexpected places. Min-Jun's eyes went wide, and for a moment, he looked like he might cry. I don't deserve that honor, he said quietly. You saved us, Jina said. You didn't have to. You didn't know us. But you showed up. That deserves everything. The moment hung between them, fragile and beautiful, until Chun burst into the room, his face urgent. Boss, he said, and Gina's mind snagged on the word. Boss? We have a problem. A big problem. Min-Jun's expression shifted instantly, the vulnerability disappearing behind a mask of cold authority. What is it? Her phone, Chun said, looking at Jina apologetically. It's been tracked. Detective Marcus Johnson, LAPD, working with the Korean National Police. He's her brother, and he's been looking for her all night. Boss, he's the same detective who's been investigating us for 6 months. He's 5 minutes away with a full tactical team. The warmth drained from the room. Jina clutched Min-hee closer, confused. Marcus? My brother Marcus is here? In Seoul? He's been tracking our operation, Chun said grimly. And now he's tracked his sister's phone right to our facility. Boss, if he finds her here with you, he'll have everything he needs to bring me down, Min-Jun finished, standing up. His face was unreadable, but Jina could see the calculation in his eyes. What operation? Jina asked, dread pooling in her stomach. Who are you really, Min-Jun? Min-Jun looked at her, and in that moment, she saw the truth. The expensive facility, the security, the power that radiated from him, the way Chun called him boss. I'm the head of the Kang family syndicate, he said quietly. Import, export, protection services. Some legal, some less legal. Your brother has been trying to take me down for months. Gina's world tilted. She'd been saved by a criminal. A mafia boss. And now her police detective brother was coming to arrest him. You have to leave, she said urgently. Right now. If Marcus finds you here, he'll arrest me, Min-Jun said calmly. And use you as proof that I'm connected to both the Black American military networks and the Korean underworld. It'll be everything he needs. So go, Jina said, tears streaming down her face again. Please, you helped me. I can't let you get caught because of me. Min-Jun looked at her for a long moment. I told you, he said softly. I won't let another woman go through what my sister did. That includes leaving you to face your brother's questions alone, 1 hour after giving birth. But, no buts, Min-Jun said. He turned to Chun. How long? 3 minutes, Chun said grimly. The team is ready to defend if needed, but boss, if shots are fired with a newborn in the building. No shots, Min-Jun said firmly. Tell everyone to stand down. If Detective Johnson wants to arrest me, I'll go peacefully. But not until I know Jina and Min-hee are safe. You're insane, Jina said, but her voice was soft. You're going to sacrifice yourself for someone you met an hour ago? I'm sacrificing myself for the chance to finally do the right thing, Min-Jun said. He smiled at her, sad and beautiful. Take care of her, Jina. Raise her to know she's worthy of love, no matter what anyone says about her heritage. Promise me. Min-Jun. The door burst open. Marcus Johnson stormed in, gun drawn, followed by 6 tactical officers in full gear. His eyes swept the room, landing on Jina holding the baby, then on Min-Jun standing calmly beside her, then back to Jina. Jina. Marcus's voice was strangled. What the hell is going on? Behind him, 2 more people pushed into the room. Prosecutor Han, Jina's father, his face pale with shock. And Mrs. Park, Taesung's mother, her eyes wide with greed as she saw the baby. That's my grandchild. Mrs. Park shrieked. She kidnapped our family's baby. Nobody kidnapped anyone, Marcus said, his gun still trained on Min-Jun. Jina, are you hurt? Did this man force you here? No, Jina said firmly, finding her voice. He saved me. He's a criminal, Marcus said. Kang Min-Jun, you're under arrest for what? Jina interrupted, her voice rising. For helping a pregnant woman in labor? For showing more compassion than my own family. Jina, you don't understand, Prosecutor Han said, speaking for the first time. This man is dangerous. He runs a criminal empire. Don't, Jina said, cutting him off. Her voice was cold, colder than she'd ever heard it. Don't you dare lecture me about danger, father. You abandoned me when I was 10. You chose your career over your mixed-race daughter. You have no right to tell me anything. She turned to Marcus. And you? When did you get to Korea? Today? Yesterday? And you didn't even call me? Your own sister? You're here investigating criminals, but you couldn't spare 5 minutes to check if I was okay. Marcus lowered his gun slightly, guilt flashing across his face. And you, Jina said, turning to Mrs. Park. You threw me out in the snow tonight. You called my baby tainted. You said her black blood made her impure. And now you want her? Now she's suddenly your grandchild. She belongs to our family, Mrs. Park insisted. She is Park blood. She has MY blood. Jina shouted, and Min-hee started to cry. Jina immediately softened her voice, rocking the baby gently. She has my blood. Black blood. Korean blood. American blood. She's mine. And I will never, ever let you make her feel like she's not enough, the way you made me feel. The room fell silent except for Min-hee's soft cries. You all want to talk about what's dangerous? Jina continued, her voice shaking with emotion. You want to know what's really dangerous? It's families who reject their own children for not being pure enough. It's fathers who abandon their daughters to protect their careers. It's brothers who are so obsessed with their work they forget they have family. It's in-laws who throw pregnant women out in the snow on Christmas Eve. She looked at Min-Jun, who was standing perfectly still, his hands visible, surrendering without fighting. This man, Jina said, this criminal you're so eager to arrest, is the only one who showed up when I needed help. He didn't know me. He owed me nothing. But when I sent a desperate text to a wrong number, he answered. He sent a car. He brought me somewhere safe. He held my hand while I gave birth. He made me feel like I mattered. Jina, Marcus said gently, finally holstering his gun. I know you're emotional right now, but don't patronize me, Jina snapped. I just gave birth an hour ago, yes. But I'm not irrational. I'm telling you the truth. Whatever Min-Jun has done in his business, whatever laws he's broken, tonight he was more family to me than any of you have ever been. Min-Jun spoke for the first time since they'd entered. Detective Johnson, I'll come with you peacefully. I won't resist arrest. But first, I need to make sure Jina and the baby have somewhere safe to go. Not with people who've rejected her, and not alone. You don't get to make demands, one of the tactical officers said. I'm not making demands, Min-Jun said calmly. I'm making a request. As one human being to another. Marcus looked torn. Jina could see him struggling, the cop warring with the brother he'd never really been. There's more, Chin said quietly from the doorway. Everyone turned to look at him. If you're going to arrest our boss, you should know the whole truth. Prosecutor Han, you've been working with Captain Park, correct? Jina's father-in-law. Han's face went white. That's confidential. Captain Park has been protecting his son Taesung for months, Chin continued relentlessly. Embezzlement, fraud, connections to a gambling ring. We have proof. We've been gathering it to use as leverage, but now seems like a good time to share. You're lying, Mrs. Park gasped. I'm not, Chin said. He pulled out a tablet, swiping through documents. Bank records, wire transfers, security footage. Your son isn't just a weak man who abandoned his pregnant girlfriend. He's a criminal who's been stealing from his own father's company to pay off gambling debts. And Captain Park has been burying the evidence to protect the family name. Marcus took the tablet, his eyes scanning the information. His jaw clenched. This is real, he said quietly. This is. Jesus Christ, this is real. So while you're all so concerned about what kind of criminal I am, Min-Jun said quietly, maybe you should look at the criminals in your own families. The respectable prosecutor who abandoned his daughter. The police captain who covers up his son's crimes. The son who abandoned his pregnant girlfriend to save his reputation. How dare you, Prosecutor Han started, but Min-Jun cut him off. I dare because I have nothing left to lose, Min-Jun said, his voice cold. I've made my peace with who I am. I run a syndicate. I break laws. I'm not a good man by society's standards. But I don't abandon pregnant women in the snow. I don't reject children for their race. I don't hide behind respectability while being rotten inside. He turned to Jina, his voice softening. I told you about my sister. She died alone because I was too much of a coward to stand up for her. Because I cared more about what our family thought than about doing the right thing. I've spent 10 years building an empire, becoming powerful enough that no one could ever make me choose between family and honor again. But none of it mattered until tonight. Min-Jun, Jina whispered. Tonight, I got to help someone, Min-Jun continued. I got to make sure a woman didn't die alone like my sister did. I got to see a baby born who's wanted and loved despite what anyone says about her heritage. That's worth whatever happens next. Marcus lowered the tablet slowly. You're still under arrest, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. But Kang, I'm going to offer you a deal. You give me everything you have on Captain Park and his son. You cooperate with our investigation into the corruption in the Korean National Police. And I'll see what I can do about the charges against you. Marcus. Prosecutor Han protested. You can't make deals with criminals. You're right, Marcus said, turning to his father. I can't make deals with criminals. Which is why you're also under investigation now, father. You've been working with Captain Park. You knew about the cover-up. That makes you an accomplice. Han's face went from white to red. You wouldn't dare. I absolutely would, Marcus said coldly. You abandoned my sister. You've hidden behind your position for years. No more. You're done. He turned back to Min-Jun. Do we have a deal? Min-Jun looked at Jina, a question in his eyes. She nodded slowly. Do it, she said. Take the deal. Please. On one condition, Min-Jun said to Marcus. Jina and the baby need protection. A safe place to stay, money for expenses, everything she needs until she can get on her feet. Not from people who've rejected her. Real protection. Done, Marcus said. She's my sister. I should have been there for her all along. I'm here now. And the Parks lose all rights to the baby, Min-Jun added. Legal documents, restraining orders, whatever it takes. They don't get to come back in a year and claim her when it's convenient. Also done, Marcus said, looking at Mrs. Park with disgust. Mrs. Park, your son is about to be arrested for embezzlement and fraud. Your husband will likely lose his position. And you just tried to claim a baby you rejected hours ago. You're done here. Leave. Mrs. Park opened her mouth to argue, but something in Marcus's expression made her close it again. She turned and fled, her expensive shoes clicking on the tile floor. Prosecutor Han stood frozen, watching his career crumble around him. Jina, he said finally, his voice hoarse. I'm sorry. I should have. Yes, Jina said simply. You should have. But you didn't. And now it's too late for apologies. Han pulled out his wallet with shaking hands, taking out a stack of bills. He set it on the table beside Jina's bed. For the baby, he said quietly. It's not enough. Nothing could be enough. But it's something. He walked out without another word, his shoulders slumped. Jina watched him go, feeling nothing. No anger, no sadness, just emptiness where a father's love should have been. We'll need statements from both of you, Marcus said. All business now. But that can wait until tomorrow. Jina, you just had a baby. You need rest. Where will she stay? Min-Jun asked. Not at the Park's house. She'll stay with me, Marcus said. I have a hotel suite. It's not ideal, but it's safe. And Jina, I'm sorry. I should have called. I should have checked on you. I've been so focused on this case that I forgot about the people who actually matter. Jina looked at her brother, really looked at him, for the first time in years. He looked older, tired, haunted by his own demons. You're here now, she said quietly. That's what matters. Min-Jun turned to the tactical team. Am I under arrest? Not tonight, Marcus said. But don't leave Seoul. We'll need you for questioning, and if you run, the deal is off. I'm not running, Min-Jun said. He walked over to Jina's bedside one last time, looking down at baby Min-hee. She's beautiful, he said softly. She looks strong. Like her mother. Thank you, Jina whispered. For everything. I'll never forget what you did tonight. Take care of her, Min-Jun said. Raise her to know she's worthy of love, no matter what anyone says about where she came from. Promise me. I promise, Jina said, tears streaming down her face. And Min-Jun? You're not a bad man. Whatever you've done, whatever choices you've made, tonight you were exactly who you needed to be. Your sister would be proud. Min-Jun's mask cracked, just for a moment, and Jina saw the pain and guilt and hope underneath. Then he straightened, becoming the cold, controlled mob boss again. Detective Johnson, he said. Shall we go? Actually, Marcus said slowly, looking at the scene before him, his sister, exhausted and tearful, holding a newborn baby, looking at a man who'd saved her life. Actually, it's Christmas morning. We can handle the formalities tomorrow. Tonight, or this morning, everyone should be with family. Are you serious? One of the officers asked. Dead serious, Marcus said. Kang, you have 24 hours. Spend it however you want, but be at the police station by 6 p.m. tomorrow, or I will hunt you down. Min-Jun nodded slowly. Thank you, detective. Don't thank me, Marcus said. Thank my sister. She's the only reason I'm cutting you any slack at all. The tactical team filed out, muttering about protocol and procedure. Marcus lingered. Jina, I'll be back in an hour with some things for the baby. Clothes, diapers, whatever the hotel gift shop has open. We'll figure out the rest in the morning. Marcus, Jina said, catching his hand. Thank you. For not being like father. Marcus squeezed her hand. I'm trying to be better. It's about time I started. He looked at Min-Jun. Take care of my sister for the next hour. Then she's my responsibility. Understood, Min-Jun said. When they were finally alone, just Jina, Min-Jun, and baby Min-hee, the silence was comfortable. Peaceful. Min-Jun pulled his chair back up beside the bed, and for a long moment, they just sat there, two broken people who'd found each other in the most unexpected way. What will you do? Jina asked. After tomorrow? Cooperate with the investigation, Min-Jun said. Probably serve some time, depending on what they can actually prove. But I'll make sure you and Min-hee are taken care of first. Trust fund, safe apartment, everything you need. You don't have to do that, Jina protested. I know, Min-Jun said. But I want to. My sister never got to raise her baby. Never got to see her child grow up. But you will. And I'm going to make sure you have every opportunity to give Min-hee the life she deserves. Will I see you again? Jina asked quietly. After tomorrow? Min-Jun was quiet for a long time. I don't know, he said finally. My life is complicated. Dangerous. You and Min-hee deserve better than that. You're wrong, Jina said firmly. We deserve people who show up. People who stay. People who prove with their actions that we matter. You did that tonight. That makes you family in my book. Min-Jun smiled, real and genuine. Family, he repeated, testing the word. I like the sound of that. Chin appeared in the doorway, holding bags from what looked like an expensive restaurant. I thought you might be hungry, he said, his gruff voice almost gentle. It's Christmas morning. Everyone should eat. He set up the food on the table, Korean dishes and American comfort food, a perfect blend of cultures. Min-Jun helped Jina sit up carefully, making sure she and the baby were comfortable, and they ate together in companionable silence. As the sun rose on Christmas morning, casting golden light through the windows, Jina looked around at this unlikely family she'd found. A mafia boss with a guilty conscience, his loyal right-hand man, and her baby daughter, born into chaos but surrounded by unexpected love. Merry Christmas, Min-hee, she whispered to the sleeping baby. Welcome to our strange, beautiful, complicated family. Min-Jun raised his coffee cup in a toast. To family, he said. The one we choose, not the one we're born into. To family, Jina echoed, clinking her cup against his. And for the first time in longer than she could remember, Jina felt like she belonged. Not because of her blood or her heritage or her family name, but because of the people who'd chosen to stay when everyone else walked away. If you enjoyed this story of unexpected connections and found family, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more emotional stories that will touch your heart. Drop a comment below telling us what you would have done in Jina's situation. Would you have trusted a stranger's help? And don't forget to like this video if you believe that family isn't always about blood, but about who shows up when you need them most. Your support helps us bring you more stories like this one. Thank you for being part of our community.